Don't let those people fool you just because they're in Washington, just because they got some high-powered job and live in the White House. These people may live in the White House, but I'll be damned if they're going to sit there and pass it off onto us like that. They're the ones that came to us with all their lousy promises saying they're going to do this and that when they get in there. But they're not doing nothing. Can't even work with each other without acting like a bunch of damn kids. Grow up, Washington. It's broken. Fix it finally. You know they say don't fix it if it's not broken.
The students' movement is crashing the Capitol.
I'm 14. I shouldn't have to think about getting shot in my school.
But before they march on Washington,
what flight are you on, 5 or 6?
They had to get there. Hundreds of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School students, along with their parents and teachers, started their journeys on Thursday.
We're going to make a statement that teenagers can't change the world and that these things really can't happen without somebody doing something.
CNN traveled to D.C. with a group from Parkland. Their seats were on a plane sponsored by the gun control advocacy organization Giffords.
We shouldn't be here. This should never have happened. We shouldn't be having to come on a plane together at the start of our spring break to go march in Washington, to walk for our lives all together.
Clad in school colors and hashtags, excited, nervous, and determined to be heard.
You're not going to be able to ignore us because we're at your doorstep now. So we're going to stay here and we're going to fight.
On just a couple hours of sleep, senior Dimitri Hoff stood alongside former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, a fellow shooting survivor, demanding change at the highest level.
Never again, never again, never again. America, we are your future. Why won't you protect us?
Teachers wrangling hundreds of teenagers as they march through the halls of Congress, searching for lawmakers to talk about their agenda, even spending about half an hour with former Vice President Joe Biden, who, behind closed doors, talked about their unfortunate common bond of finding power in pain.
I look up to him a lot, and it was very inspirational.
The pain is heard in 14-year-old Lauren Hogg.
Having to text goodbye to your parents and that you love them is the worst thing imaginable.
The freshman lost 4 friends in the massacre at her school on Valentine's Day.
I think about my friends every moment of every day. That's what pushes me to do this.
And though in the shadows of historic buildings, these teenagers are focused on changing their future.
I think Washington's ready for us, and I think we're ready to give them help.
You do that, guys. Don't let it ever stop you from letting your voice be heard. You hear that, or you don't feel safe to go to school anymore. It's high time that we do something, Washington. I hope you're listening, Trump. I hope you're listening, all you Democrats and Republicans out there. Pay attention. It's time for change. Our future has spoken. Get busy, finally. Scrape the moss up from underneath your seat and get busy.
Okay? Might even have to go Beethoven. Strike the bell for the vote. And you better be ready for that one shining moment.
There is a student here with a gun.
19 years ago, 12 students and a teacher were killed inside of Columbine High School, gunned down by 2 of their peers in a place they were supposed to be safe.
Hey,
Tom Mauser lost his 15-year-old son Daniel that day.
I don't know how I got through those first few days and even weeks.
Since then, police protocols have changed. So have state gun laws. Thanks in part to Mauser's work to close the loopholes his son had ironically pointed out just weeks earlier.
And then he was killed with a gun that was purchased through one of those loopholes.
In Colorado, background checks are now nearly universal, and there's a limit on magazine size. But still no one has found the cure to America's school shooting plague.
We have to deal with this terrible illness that we have. And guns are a part of that.
Even if you fixed all of the gun loopholes, you might not solve the school shooting problem.
No, we have to do a number of things to deal with the gun violence problem. And we're going to have to compromise. We're going to have to sit down and talk this out and not scream at each other the way we are right now.
Mauser's work continues to this day, still wearing his son's sneakers.
I'd like to think that by, stepping into his shoes, that I'm doing what he would want me to do.
Columbine never asked for its new notoriety, nor did it seek out this dream catcher, a gift from students in Michigan meant to ward off bad dreams after a collective nightmare. In March 2005, Columbine passed it on to Red Lake High School in Minnesota after a student killed 7 people there using stolen police-issued weapons.
I saw evil that day.
Missy Dodds was teaching when her former student shot through a floor-length window to get inside her class.
He just started shooting and just went down the line. And when he got to me, there was nothing left in his gun.
But in a culture where hunting is common, the shooting didn't spark much of a discussion about guns.
Was it about mental health? Was it about school safety?
It was shut down and forget it ever happened.
But Dodds couldn't forget. She tried and failed to convince lawmakers in the state capitol to use shatterproof glass in schools, which she thinks would have saved lives.
I went with the principal from another school district where a shooting had happened, and I was literally blown off.
It seemed the country was content to move on without doing much at all, until 7 years later when Red Lake passed the Dreamcatcher to Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut.
Just hope it don't travel anymore.
A lone gunman had used an AR-15 to kill 26, 20 of them young children. Michelle Gay's 7-year-old daughter Joey was among them.
My oldest daughter just couldn't accept it. It just couldn't be.
What are you telling her?
She was sure that it was a misunderstanding.
Hey, send me some answers.
For months afterwards, a group of Sandy Hook parents unsuccessfully pushed for sweeping gun control legislation. Gay now pushes schools to be safer, but doesn't push gun control.
If we go in and we start mentioning hot button issues or political arguments, we suddenly divide the room in half.
When the president says that arming teachers is something that we should look at, you don't dismiss him.
I don't. We should look at everything. We should put everything on the table. We can't ever count on any one thing.
There's no one single magic wand that will solve school shootings.
I believe if there was, we would have found it and waved it by now.
You'd hope there'd be some kind of answer, but they're right. We've only gone so far, and there's so much more to do in regards to it. But maybe at some point we could start a conversation.
Story. One mom's tweet has set off a housing avalanche for the people who are coming in for Washington, D.C.'s March for Our Lives, which is tomorrow. But here's what happened. Elizabeth Andrews tweeted out offering March for Our Lives participants a place to stay. She wasn't the only one. Then it became a group of like 11 or 12 moms saying, yeah, I'll help too. One of those moms is Phaedra Seaver, and she has been Skyping this morning with us as she also was working to help the other marchers find places to stay. Because for a lot of them, they're students, right? They're kids. Is that part of what moved you?
Absolutely. Once it became clear that March for Our Lives was happening, and that it was not just a moment, but had the potential to become a movement. I, like all of the other moms in March for Our Lives, wanted to do what moms do. We wanted to support the kids to be as successful as they possibly could in moving this movement forward.
You know, was there something, we just showed a picture of 5 of the Parkland survivors, and it is 5 that we see often on television making moving or eloquent statements here. Was there something about that group that you thought, I want to help out as well and house people who might be coming from all over the country? Something in particular about them? It is moving just to see them on the cover of Time magazine.
Indeed, it is moving. And certainly their words were very effective and very affecting. But I think for the March for Our Lives lodging moms, we understood that one of the best things that parents can do, that moms can do, is provide logistical support. And that one of the biggest challenges for students traveling is lodging. It's expensive, and if you're 18 or under, you're not going to be able to check into a hotel on your own. So that was an area of support that we thought we could really help in.
Okay, so how many students or students' families have responded saying, I need housing and I need it, and that would have begun today, correct?
Yes, they should be arriving any moment now. They should start trickling in. So we have placed about 500 marchers so far. Yep.
So 500 marchers
we have
placed.
space
How
for
many
more.
families is that housing them?
Gosh, that's a good question. Let's see. I think we have about 100 or maybe a few more families that are doing the housing. Now, we had 1,600 families in the D.C. area volunteer housing, but thankfully we haven't needed all of that space.
That's
Although,
amazing.
It is such a generous outpouring of support.
It was nice of those families, and thank you for those people who did volunteer, and thank you to our marchers and the people that organized it. I fully support the idea. If you want to be a part of this podcast, please do so at bdhammond45@gmail.com or call me live at 210-612-2249 at your convenience. Or catch me right here at speakerstudio.com/Brian's Podcast.
We can't keep on living like this.
For 12-year-old Lauren Milgram, it's just that simple. No more guns. Certainly not in school. And tomorrow in Washington, D.C., she'll make her voice heard. For Lauren, this is personal. 5.5 years ago, she was in her first grade classroom when a gunman opened fire in her school, Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut. By the time it was over, the shooter had fired at least 150 shots, taking the lives of 20 children, first graders and kindergartners, as well as 6 adults. Lauren's quick-thinking teacher hid all 15 of her students in a tiny bathroom off the classroom, saving all of their lives and her own. Today, Lauren and that teacher are still friends.
Do you feel like you're closer to her, because of everything? I mean,
Yeah.
you really have a nice friendship.
I mean, an experience like this, it really does bring people together.
The March for Our Lives will be bringing people together, too. It was organized by the students of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Lauren will stand with them to say enough.
I'm marching because I don't want this to happen to any other child, and it really shouldn't have happened. And that we really do need more safety.
Do you feel like you can make a difference even at age 12?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing what the Parkland students are doing. Like, they're already so ahead in this generation. And it's just at that age, it's, incredible. Like, they're making such a big difference.
She doesn't talk much about the shooting at her school, but she hasn't forgotten it. Nor has she forgotten the many friends she lost that day. One who was killed, Daniel Barden, had given her this heart necklace. She wears it some days and thinks of him. All these years later, her father still recalls gathering with other families at the firehouse, imagining the worst.
When I look back, that was the families of 20, or the 26 really, Those adults were lost that day too.
Lauren's parents and her brother Dalton will be marching alongside her. Dalton was in the 4th grade and survived the Sandy Hook shooting too.
When you saw what happened in Parkland, what did you think?
I mean, there have been so many. I mean, it's almost desensitizing to just see one every so often.
So it's time to change.
100%, yes.
We can make a difference. We can speak out. This makes us feel like we're doing something when we do go out and we march.
we do something together as a family.
Our kids, sadly, we're not old enough to speak out. And we as parents, I won't say we failed them, but we were too polite.